Hello, and welcome to yet another episode. Did you hear that wrong? Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital with your host, myself, Ursula Mariani, and today, the voice of reason. Asanto Boatema Abena Ofori Amamfo. Friend of the show. Ow! Can I introduce you? Before you start screaming into the mic, can we introduce you? Bonga Bueta. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. Good. You've got a glow up lately.
Oh, you're looking beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
What's happening?
You are looking stunning.
Why are you looking nice?
I don't know.
It's from the inside out, though.
No, I can tell you. Should I tell them why you're looking nice? It's the reason I called you here today. I said, come on to camera. I need you to tell your story on camera. Huh? Why are you looking nice?
You think there's close correlation with...
What's it? Jesus who said it when he came here. Let's chat about that. Today we're chatting about Bonga's experience with retrenchment. So if you guys don't know, I don't know, was it last year? November, October?
October.
Yeah, Bonga got retrenched. And she's been sitting in retrenchment for a few months now. And a lot happened towards that. And, you know, a lot of people were just like, oh my gosh, too many things are going on in your life. She was involved in a car accident. Car was a write-off. About a month later, retrenched. And it was just a lot of things at once. And you really went through a tough time, my cousin.
Yes.
And I see you glowing and coming out on the other side. And throughout, you know, we're just voice of reasoning. But as soon as the cameras go off, you know, we have DMCs and, you know, you had been going through a tough time. And now you've really had a beautiful breakthrough. You know, you've gotten a beautiful job. You're back at work. And you know,
We can comfortably talk about it.
I remember the last two shoots ago, you had already gotten the job and I wanted to mention it. And you were like, no. And I know that thing when you get something you want so much that you still feel like you need to keep it a secret.
Yes,
so you still need to protect
it. Yeah.
You know, so when you're like, I can talk about the retrenchment now, I say, somebody who's feeling, you know, confident and comfortable and there. And let's just talk about it. We talked about it with Tamineta before. The experience of being retrenched.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about it with an array of things in that episode. Go check it out. Especially, and we also talked about stock files in that episode, how to efficiently use stock files. And so maybe let's just get into your personal experience with being retrenched. It wasn't that long, but, you know, you've always been somebody who immediately after varsity, you're one of those people that got a job.
Yes.
And now you had to sit at home.
Yeah.
You know, so let's just start. What was happening? Where were you? Did you feel picked on? What happened?
So I didn't feel picked out because it was a company-wide. The company shut down. But what I can say that felt unfair. Okay, so I'm on maternity. My maternity with Asante, 4 months. Then my WhatsApp is going off. Even people who previously were in the company but have left, they're like, Bonga, what's happening at this company? What's happening? I'm like, please don't tell me it's closing down. And someone was like, yep, that's what's happening. Because there were murmurs around it closing, but because people were starting to see differences. For example, the shutdown period, usually in manufacturing, you'll have a period shut down where there's no production because we're going for December holidays or whatever. The period of the shutdown was too long. And then people were speaking, people who knew how the company was before and the benefits, etc. They were seeing some changes. But then it's an international company, so I would see the reports. I'm like, no, man, we're doing well. So these thoughts would like leave my mind. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way we're closing. And then, the announcement came. My phone was blowing off. I was still on maternity leave. My phone was blowing. WhatsApps, and then I said, please don't tell me you're closing down. And then my colleague was like, yep, that's what's happening. So we go through the Section 189 process. It's the retrenchment process of the company closing down, etc. And then, they give you reasons, etc. But I think because of what you're going through, the reasons never make sense to you guys. At the
end of the day, I'm job insecure now.
Exactly. So, you find out you're retrenched. I think the biggest thing for me was just that I was on a contract for a year. I came in as an intern. Then I got a permanent role. And then after fighting for a permanent role and feeling so insecure for a while, because I didn't immediately get a permanent role. I got a 6 months contract after the year, and then I got a permanent role. So after fighting so long and being so anxious around Can I get are they going to give me a permanent role? What's going to happen? Finally got it, and then the company is closing down. So I felt like, really, God, I started at this great big company, fought for my, to get permanent, and then the company closes down, and I just had a baby, you know? My baby was quite young. And then, so yeah, it felt like really unfair. Like, I have this job in this amazing company. It was a good start, like, fresh from varsity, didn't sit long at home, literally graduated December, March, I had a job, a good job. So it really felt unfair in that regard. I felt too young to go to have retrenchment on my
I think
CV.
retrenchment is linked with people that are older.
Yes.
It shocks like, when it hits a younger age group.
Yes, and unfortunately, that is going to be the reality in South Africa with just the way things are going.
Oh man, are you saying something here?
I have a friend of mine who was also going through a retrenchment, and they are as young as me. You know, it's sad to say, but it will be the norm for a while. So yeah, I got retrenched, and then
even that experience of being reduced to a number.
Yes.
Or a resource, as a
resource, a
there's
number.
No space for you.
Yes, where you just have to accept that it's not personal,
but it rocks
you. Rocks you because, like, I've got responsibilities, I've got a daughter, I've got medical aid to pay.
For me, it was someone knew it's coming. Why even make me permanent? There were opportunities that I turned down for this particular role in this particular
Did you
company.
feel bitter? Did you have some, not resentment, but did you, as much as it wasn't a personal thing,
hugely. I look at the emblem today, you know, and I'm like, it's really a hurtful process. And unfortunately, even the superiors around that time, I relate them to that experience.
Oh. Because what do you think
my
they would
view
have
of
known
them is really tainted by that experience. Because how companies, and it's across the board, for a lot of people, you feel like companies are very cold in how they do retrenchments. You know, I don't know if they would.
It's interesting, you being in HR, because you're the cold one. That's, you're part of team cold.
It was very weird. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a very interesting point you make, because it was a very weird time for us in HR. We knew nothing. We knew everything with everyone, you know, but people saw us as the employee rep.
Yes.
But it was only like the higher people who knew more than us. But I was experiencing everything exactly the same as an employee. However, you are still being seen as HR.
That is such an awkward or interesting space to be in, because you should know the tea, right? You are involved in it, but it's kind of like you're being affected by what you're also bound to implement.
Exactly. For example, your discussion of the process should be very, very careful, because you're in HR, but you're going through the same emotions, the same motions as everyone else.
And maybe you're expected to be wiser and give more wise counsel, but you're going through the motions yourself.
You're both being rocked at the same time.
Exactly. So being in the department, and you're almost seen like, Luena, you're on the side, oh, you always knew. Whereas you found out with everyone else, you know. Sure. So I must say, it was very, very, very interesting to be in HR and being retrenched.
I want to ask you something. So I'm not very familiar with HR, but surely, as you're saying, there's a process and a way to have these conversations to safeguard both the company, the other person, etc., etc. It's I wouldn't call it counseling, but there is like would you say there's kind of a psychological approach or something you need to be aware of? And then how is it being in that position where you kind of have to put that on yourself now, that I, as the HR person, have to put to practice what I'd use on speaking to other people who are being retrenched, but I'm the person being retrenched?
No, luckily in the instance in Anna, there were outsourced people who were contracted to solely deal with counseling employees during that time. Yeah, so it was we were not expected. The person who works with wellness is the one who was expected to counsel immediately in our team. Okay. However, there was external companies who were called just for that process, for counseling services.
Sure. Now you're sitting at home.
To be honest, so even the accident, let's go there. It felt like a blessing in disguise. A very tough blessing, but the car was written off and it was paid off. It was like, whew.
What's the timeline on this? This happened after...
It happened when we found out that
Yes.
I get a retrenchment. They told us probably around April. Then my
Okay.
accident happened in May.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would
So
cry.
I knew retrenchment was coming in October.
Okay.
So yeah, it happened a few months before the actual retrenchment, but I already knew I'm being retrenched.
Yes.
So like it felt like a blessing in disguise because now the car installment was gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting at home. The first 3 months I was like, whew, I'm not looking. I was happy to be relaxed. It was a tough year, like you mentioned. It was a really tough year. New baby, and at times she was in hospital, all of that. So it felt like a relief, like an early December. Yeah, the first few months. Felt like it. And then it started getting like, I started getting anxious when I was starting to hit like the 5 months mark of being unemployed. Well, and then I'd attend interviews, and oh my gosh, this was actually such a sobering experience. Going to interviews, like, I remember going to this interview, it was online, and the people were having a chat, like, while I'm speaking.
Oh,
So it
that
was
knocks your
very-
confidence.
Yes.
Like, am I that boring, or you're not that
Oh,
interested?
it felt like a tick box exercise.
Exercise, but you're not gonna hire me.
Yes.
You already know who you're gonna
One
hire.
person stood up to fetch a Checkers 360 order. Like, sorry, I
No
need to fetch my
ways.
order. And then went. And
It feels disrespectful, no, to the process.
as someone who's in HR, it really sobered me up to say, I must really care about the candidate's experience. Because that was a horrible experience.
Do you
I
think it's
remember the
made...
one time you slept over even
Yes.
to go to an interview, and we're like, this is it.
Yeah,
this is
it
yours.
really felt like that was my job, right? And you don't get it. And really, job searching is tough, and it knocks on your confidence a lot, especially after the interview. What's about when you have an interview? Somehow in your head, you've concluded like it's yours for some reason.
You kind of know whether you're like, I crushed that.
You know?
I'm not too sure, or hey, let me just carry on looking.
So I kind of, some days, I used to tell you this all the time, and we regret to inform you, especially after the interview. I was very used to we regret after the application online, but I didn't really hit me that much.
But after an
Actual interview,
Sure.
that hits you.
You
I
met
would
me.
be out for like 5 days. I would be out emotionally for like 5 days where it knocks you.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I recently had a regret, and it was after like a
crushes
test
you.
task.
Yeah.
And I put like my heart and soul into that test task. So when I got a we regret, I'm stuttering now.
Do you know what? It even makes me think of, I'm going to butcher her name, or actually not even butcher, I can't remember, but the founder of Bumble. I can't remember the exact story, so I'm going to paraphrase, but I think she got, let's say, like 100 no's on her idea. Everyone kept on saying, nope, this is not going to work, not going to work. Imagine being told no 100, like let's say 100 times, or even if it's 10 times, but you believe in something so much that you push through, and look how successful the app is now, right? But that's for an idea. When it's me, like as Bunga saying, to not make it through when it's an online application is one thing, but then another thing when you've met me, I've prepped for this, I've prepped my questions, you're saying no based on the person that you've met.
And
how does it not hurt?
And the other thing is that sometimes you enter these companies, and it's big companies, and you already see yourself there, you know. You already see yourself there, so it really knocks at you. So yeah, job searching was tough, but luckily I think just before 6 months of sitting at home.
I know we've touched on it a little bit, but I just want to, if you could rehash the experience of, and I say this because I know what it feels like, of feeling like a number, where everybody wants to reduce your experience to it's the economic climate. There's a hurt in that as well.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Just being like, these are just tough.
These are just tough times. These are just. I'm thinking of my own experience. I think I can also chat about it now. It's been a few months when I lost Pick and Pay QualiSave. So, and it was all over the news that Pick and Pay wasn't doing well, and I was the voice of QualiSave. And then they said, okay, we're totally cutting off this branch and whatever. And it was all over the news and everybody was talking about it so normally, but I had lost a big job and I couldn't bring myself to talk about it like it was just news. It was affecting me and my livelihood personally, you know, and it was all over social media. And people are sharing, and everybody's just talking about it like a passing thing. The economic climate,
like it's a report,
you know. And then they were talking about people being retrenched. They were talking about people being retrenched directly within the company. Remember, I'm like, I've gone through agency, so I'm not directly, but I'm like literally a wayside product that is just fallen.
You're not even part of their plan.
Yes.
When they plan how they're going to do the
save some
packages,
jobs and whatever.
You're not
the
there.
voice of an artist doesn't even occur in the organogram. Like you are a non-entity.
But
you're just we definitely need to cut that off. You know, that's what, and we need to cut. That's me.
That's me.
That's my livelihood. That's what. And I remember I struggled so much. I think I even stepped back from like Instagram for like a little bit because I just got so tired of hearing the economic climate, the economic climate, the economic climate. The economic, and that was a terrible experience for me. Just feeling like actually quite small, feeling like such a small player in the grander scheme. And I think that's, you know, when we chat about the economy is doing badly, until you're directly affected by that badly. You can be affected a little bit by groceries going up.
The prices of things, you feel that you're holding back.
But when you're affected by like a retrenchment, losing that contract, losing that gig, losing that job, it hits differently.
And you know, it made me very scared to do certain moves.
Yes, I remember.
It made me very scared. For example, now I'm like, do I ever move out of home? Unless that house is bought cash.
Yes.
Do I ever...
So find like a security issue in a way of, I don't know if it's financial or like stability. Job
stability.
Yes.
Because you're like, you could be in an awesome company, but somehow they decide your branch is being closed. Life could change like this.
I remember you were even like terribly scared to get another car.
Yeah.
You know, you were just like, Ursula, no, like, you know, that anxiety that this could happen again. And I hear what you're saying now, looking at it from this lens of you could be retrenched at any moment. Now, how do you go and get an installment for something?
Exactly.
Because the truth is, you know, it's really bad, but those are the things we think of.
Yeah.
Immediately when you think of job security, you think of the debt that you have. Be it a car, be it a house. How am I going to pay for my bond? How am I? And these are commitments for 20 years. You know, bonding 20 years, 30 years in other cases.
I know that those things can be like sold, or a plan can obviously be made. But do you want to put yourself in a position like that where, or do you don't want to find yourself in a position like that where a plan has to be made about my security, you know? My car's my car, my home, whatever it looks like is my home.
And that was part of okay, it was a bit annoying when people would say it, but to be honest, it was a blessing that I was still living at home. I didn't have a lot of costs. You know, the money that I had was enough to sustain me for a while. I mean, I would tell you all the time, no, don't stress when you want to cover bills. So yeah, part of it was that I lived at home. Yeah. So there was pressure to look for a job from me. Yes. But in terms of my support system, there wasn't pressure. They were mostly, worried about my mental health.
I wanted to ask about that actually. Sorry to interrupt you. Is what was, mentally, psychologically, what's going on? Because fine, you have the literal support of your family or the space that you're in. But for you as yourself, someone who's quite smart, always doing things for yourself, what does a knock on your confidence or your mental?
Oh my gosh, like? I'm getting emotional. I told you.
Sorry, the only reason why I ask is because
it was a tough time.
Yeah,
it was a tough time. I've got wet wipes here. Do you have? They should be. They're on the table. Excuse me, because I make up how in the man's guys as well.
Where's my phone? I need to look at myself.
There we go. Let's get you some tissue. Sorry, baby. Yeah.
Oh, gosh, it was tough, and it wasn't even financially.
Do you not want to talk about that? Is that something you want to move on from?
I don't know. I think I just want to get like the ugly tears out. Then I don't mind
the
people
cute one. You want the cute ones.
I don't mind people seeing I was crying, but.
Okay.
When the pillar of strength, the rock cries, what are we meant to do
what are we
as
supposed
mere
to
mortals?
do? Yeah. Because it's like, it's bonga though.
Yeah, I know now. I'm like,
Yeah. But yes, you have had a great support structure, and I think that's something, as you said, it can sound annoying when somebody says it, but you come from,
Yes.
yeah. Mamkulu's like amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing. And so is Latiwe. And they supported you in a way that didn't make you feel small and whatever, which is a privilege. We talk about it all the time. Somebody else said, hey, you guys, you're such a men's show. But a privilege men are not offered. You're being supported by everyone to say, oh, but you can imagine if you're a guy.
Yes.
That it's like, yo, you better get a job and you better get a job quickly.
So where are we picking it up from?
Oh, I thought we were just chatting still.
you did not. None of this should be cut out. All of this.
Yeah, I actually wanted to stay. I actually wanted to stay. Okay.
Do you want to answer the question?
Start over again.
Okay.
What was the question?
I was just curious to know. So at least let me say from my perspective, and you can answer with what you're comfortable in sharing. But I've come from a space where I've never been retrenched or anything like that, right? And I know unemployment as a stat, an alarming stat, but still a stat.
Yes.
And now in just hearing this from you, I'm very curious to know what the mental or kind of psychological impact was, the space that you were in, only because it must be hard to get up, try, then it doesn't work out. Then you're like, okay, get up, try, it doesn't work out. I think we're only human. We can only take so much, and then we need something to come through for us. So while all of that is happening, while you have your beautiful daughter, your lovely family around you, and you're like, kind of like, I lack nothing, I'm good. How do you still how did you take care of yourself mentally?
I don't know, hey. But I remember the channel being a great source of these weekends, a great source of relief. And I went to a therapist as well.
Okay.
I was doing therapy during my retrenchment. And I mean, that just speaks to how lucky I was, like, to be in a financial position to do all of those things.
That's beautiful, because it is a trauma, no?
Yeah,
your boat is rocked, so go to therapy.
And why I say it's trauma, because I just wonder, I wonder 2 years from now, 3 years from now, what I'll say on this. But I feel like there's a level of, after 1 year, I'm going to look for my next job. Decrease the chances of me ever getting retrenched by moving.
So you say you need to get a job in the move.
Hey,
yeah, she's saying it's trauma, like she can never feel comfortable.
Yes,
because she knows what it is.
Is that what that monkey on your back, or that
And I mean, the company I was in, guys, it's a good company. In fact, there was a report recently of how what they thought was the new technology they're investing in and de-investing in our plant flopped. They had a massive loss.
So maybe they retrenched too quickly.
Yes, they made the decision to close too quickly, Sure. So it was a good company. So I don't think you'd expect such a thing. Yes. So even if I'm in a good company right now, it doesn't make me feel any better, So just the idea of constantly wanting the next thing because you don't want to be too comfortable. And it's not to say I'll leave soon, but it's just a thought. I'm curious to see what I'll say for a few years from now.
It's changed you somewhat.
Yes, you don't get comfortable type of thing. Not to scare my new employer, if you're watching this, that I'm gonna ditch you guys anytime soon.
But I hear you, that anxiety that comes with, and I remember even like now with your new employer, you had already spoken about how, and these ones, they manufacture something different, so I'm secure. Like,
yes,
you're pointing at the security. Like,
yes, I'm like, no, there's no way. The products we make. Yeah.
So you're kind of looking at the performance of whatever your industry is, like in the global aspect.
Even when they're talking volumes and they're talking this, I'm like, volumes are
these volumes good.
Plant.
You look at the numbers of the company differently.
Yes, and I must
say,
I was looking at my Superbill list. The last time I bought, not to say I don't buy things, but I used to buy a lot on Superbill list. The last time I bought was like last year, March, and I was buying again now. So it's like over a year of me not buying online because I was just scared to spend money. I was scared to spend money despite the fact that it was there, but I was
And
just...
you really tried to hold it together because every time we would go out, you'd be like, oh, things are not that bad, cuz let me pay for stuff. And I'm like, girl, you're scared to spend money in your own capacity, you know? Because I remember the one time we even go like to the shops and she's like, no, let me buy you this jacket. I'm like, buy me a jacket.
At this time.
Are you kidding me right now? Like, no, you'll buy me a jacket when you're working. You know?
Yeah. So the job security feels great, I must say. Oh, something I almost forgot to touch on was just the shame. I hated saying I'm unemployed.
Sure.
There's just so much shame, guys.
'Cause,
You
you know,
feel so...
You're very right. And I don't know why.
Yes.
Because it's the
so
reality, you know,
Yeah.
and it's also not out of your own action. It's not that
Exactly.
you didn't want to find a job or anything like that, and you're just there. It happened to you. And just quickly speaking to what Ursula said, I never would have known really how Bonga was in that space and time in terms of her emotions, just because I don't want to commend you on this because it doesn't sound nice, but you carry that season with grace, Bonga. I never would have had any inclination of how you felt, even being around you on these days, even hearing from Ursula. It's just like you were fine. But that just shows you weren't fine. Like, I'm trying my hardest here, guys, but I'm not okay.
But
This happened to me.
and here's this thing, a weird thing. You're looking at the older person. I get when you go through retrenchment processes, there's monies that come out because it wasn't a normal end to an employment relationship. So you look at the older employees, you're like, oh gosh, you're getting so much money, blah, 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 because you've been here for a long time. The older ones are looking at us saying you have much greater prospects of getting another
a job.
You can start again.
And it's true. It's absolutely true because here I am.
Here I am.
Starting
I'm
over.
Yeah, and I'm 59 or 55.
Yeah.
Who's going to hire a 55-year-old?
And if anything, it's not that they couldn't start over. It's just that it's accepted for you to start over. There's still, you can still be absorbed somewhere, even though it's hard.
But you're much
Who's
younger.
going to absorb someone that is 59?
Yes. Ooh.
Your skill set, your exposure, your all of these things, and your
Especially the ageism. Perhaps the person,
Ageism, yeah.
perhaps the person is awesome at their role. They have the capabilities, but the
Ageism.
truth is there is an aspect, age to employment. You know, so but on the shame thing, there were times I didn't mention that I'm not working when someone would ask me,
That's so... Because we mentioned it on the show.
I'm going to give you an answer with an area. I'm going to act like
That's so interesting because
I didn't understand your
we
question.
mentioned it like twice on the show. Did you ever feel, why is Ursula talking about that again?
No, didn't Given cut those things out. Given cut it out.
Wasn't there an episode
is
actually
it?
where Bonga was saying...
Wakatakata.
No, he cut it out. Remember, there was a time you're like, Bonga's looking for a job, guys. Please, no.
Did he cut it? Oh, maybe
He
because
cut
I was
it
here.
out.
I feel like,
You
no,
were
it
here.
aired.
No.
Oh,
He
I
cut it
thought
out.
The first one, Ed.
Because we did it more than once.
There was a thing that
Then
Bonga
you
was
said
saying.
I should cut it into a short.
And then Bonga said, no, hell no. I don't
Well,
want
we could have
everybody...
been stitching
Yes.
it now, Bonga. Look
No.
at this.
I remember because Bonga was like, I don't want everybody unemployed. Yes. Ooh.
There's so much shame.
There is
guys.
shame. There is shame. Even like a contract coming to an end. And I think, I've also been through it, eh? So I'm just thinking, why? Why are we ashamed of it?
Right? Why are we ashamed
Why
of
are we
these
ashamed of
things?
contracts coming to an end? Why are we
Mamela.
ashamed of
Hona
gigs
jwale,
ending?
on a weekend, ke kenya my work t-shirt.
Wow.
That is so
My sister's like, and then, yay, I've been unemployed for so long.
yes.
I would maybe sleep in it, but to rock it on the weekend as if we're still
I'm there
up
on
and
the
running.
at a mall. Like teachers, you know how teachers are always wearing Satu t-shirts. They didn't like him.
But you know, a friend of mine this week said something to me, and maybe we're about to sidetrack, but I think it's an okay one to
I'll pull us
to
back,
off
don't
ramp.
worry.
Yeah, to off ramp too. But basically, I was just talking about how I'm not in a happy place in my life right now. What? On my WhatsApp. My WhatsApp is a bit intimate and private, so I share
A bit.
a bit. And I share a little bit more, intimate things. Even now, I'm saying this now because it will be aired 5 weeks from now. But I was just saying, like, I'm going through a tough time, physically. I'm not going through a good time. Work-wise, I'm going through a tough time. And this girl said, a good friend of mine, she said, some things we need to decentralize. You know, and I was like, what do you mean? And then she basically went on like, you know, select the things that are truly important. Health is wealth, your family, your friends, and stop giving these other things so much weight. And I felt it in a very, I hear that, but it's
tough
not
one.
an easy thing to do.
Because financially,
It is not an easy thing to, and I admire people, the real minimalists that have managed to elevate themselves beyond the constraints of finances and what we think about financially and what sustains us and whatever, and have really managed to live a very simple life. And, you know, but it's something easier said than done, right? Because it's easy to say, oh, I'm minimalist, but let your job security be threatened. That's when you see
your financial security.
You know what I
right?
mean? There's been jobs that I've applied for that I would dream about at night. Dream about getting that. How can you dream about working, Ishla? Come on.
But isn't that the beauty of also, whether one wants to call it faith or hope but that's, I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier on, that thing that you have to hold on to, it being faith, hope, just persevere, however you want to term it, is the first thing that can be so easy to lose when you are told no 100 times or 10 times or whatever it may be. Yeah. And I would be so curious to know, I wish I knew stats and things like that off the top of my head, but or just knowing stories of how it impacts people, right? We were speaking about the shame of being unemployed, or the shame that you felt at that time. Is it shouldn't be something that is embarrassing, but is it because you thought you would be in a different space by now? You thought it wouldn't like nick the back of your heels? Like, how are other people feeling?
Yeah.
You know, I wonder across the board of what is it that you feel and carry when you've been retrenched or unemployed or whatever it may be. You were talking about how it affects men. I'm generalizing from a financial aspect and how they have to contribute. What are those other things that impact them? Are you embarrassed to say to your friends? Do you feel like you should be further, you know, than where you are?
Wow, this is a good one as well, because I took a while to finish school. I did social work, dropped out, then did my BA. And then, so I was quite behind, right?
According to who? Boma?
Yeah, I know. So I was quite behind already, right, to my peers. And then I get this great internship, and I'm like, yes, finally something.
Finally a win for me.
Right?
I know this feeling, Boma.
Right?
Yo.
And then this happens.
And you're like,
you know, the way I'm relating to your story, it says to me, other people relate.
Yes.
Where you feel you've been lagging behind and you finally get your breaks, then
and
it
no
gets
one
taken
shares
away
that
from
stuff.
you.
No one shares that I feel like I'm behind, right?
Yeah.
So imagine how many people are like, yeah, me too. I feel like
Yeah. And it's a real thing, Shem. It's a real thing, but it's a constant work.
a lonely thing.
Yeah, it's constantly working. Hey, but life is nice because there are so many lessons. I've really detached myself from all of these expectations. I live a very
I would like the result of that, but not the lesson.
Decentralizing
because
what's
I even think about living at home situation. For some people, it's quite embarrassing. For me, it's a blessing. Like, I'm at my age, I can still live at home comfortably. My mother's not like pushing me to what. And for me, it's a nice thing to be able to live at home. Do I want my space sometimes? Yeah, but it's nice to not have that extra cost. You know, and just having that, it's a nice thing for me. But because of certain things that I've transcended.
Yes, transcended. But can I give a shout out to my aunt right now?
Yes.
She's amazing.
She
I
is.
remember the one time Asa was busy peeling off paint.
Yeah.
And then your status is, "Ish, Asa rekikile mudulo."
Yes.
And you tell me the story where she comes home and she's like, "No, I don't like that." I like rekika mudulo, meaning that
I was about to say, what does that mean?
Yeah, she says, "Asa, we're ngangering for a place to stay."
Like,
Oh,
Asa,
okay.
we're living at home and we are grown.
Our hands are out.
Yes.
Please don't do
yeah,
that.
Please don't ruin
don't
this
be
wall.
peeling
Yes,
walls and
yes.
stuff. And then the mom comes home from work. And she's like, no. Nobody's pleading for a place to stay. This is your home.
We're family. We're home.
You
You're
know?
mine.
And like, that's not the story for everyone.
No, it's not.
That's not the story for everyone.
There's
It's
people
not a
who,
possibility for everyone.
Yes, to be at
there's
home.
people who
The
would
home
rather
environments are that
be
toxic.
homeless
Absolutely.
than
Than let
go
their
back to
parents-
home
Absolutely.
unemployed.
And there's a
Yes.
different type of comfort, guys. We cannot lie. Or security one has to know that, hey, when all else fails, here in Jwanza, Val is waiting
I'm
for
going
me.
back to Mafikeng,
You
brother.
know, I know all three of us have that, and we cannot take away that it's a comforting feeling.
Absolutely.
But can I quickly say something on that? That as much as I would like to say like a safety net or something, it's like the last number of what you can do if you're trying to make things work. At the same time, like think of, at least for me, if I had to be in that position, the guilt or shame or embarrassment that I'd feel in having to go
Yes.
back home for me,
Yes.
but not go back home in terms of parents, I need you to carry me again, because I feel like my parents have carried me, right?
Yeah.
And my mother would, my mother Ish, she would take off her shoe and hit me rather, and have me come home rather than me suffer. There's no way she'd want me to suffer.
Exactly.
But the shame, I think I would make myself suffer a little bit, because how can I go
There
home?
is
is
a lot of shame. I remember how I escaped the shame is that Vele, in my previous job, I was working from home. So no one knew what's happening with me. Because it's not like I was ever up and down. I worked from home.
Okay.
So there was never that switch. Even people, when I got this new job and I started speaking about the fact that I didn't have a job for a while, people were shocked because nothing changed.
Oh my! I'm also thinking about now me in real time.
Something, hey?
Yeah, no.
Bunga something.
Yeah.
Another
Let's go
thing.
home.
Hey?
Vrenaging.
Yeah.
My family's amazing, guys. I love you guys. It's not about that, but the shame.
No, guys, there's a lot of shame. A lot of shame.
And
I
it's
know,
not right.
and I wonder, what does that fear of feeling ashamed, what position does it leave people in? Because like we've said, the three of us now, the privilege of knowing that you can go back home, as in the somewhat facilities, whether you contribute towards it, what it looks like, but also the acceptance of, no, come home.
Yes.
When people can't do that or don't want to feel the shame of that, what kind of lives are they living? Mentally, you're alone
How
there.
desperate are they? What can the desperation lead them to do?
And what does it create within themselves, right? Like, because people don't talk about it, because people feel ashamed of being unemployed or whatever. I feel shame for so many things, and I'm actually just tired of it now. At my age, I'm like, this is just where I am, and this is what I can do. But we also need to be, if someone, what do you do for work? Why is that also a question that we ask off the bat?
Right.
What do you do
You
for
know
work?
that I've been struggling with this what do you do for work thing, because I also have been getting to a place where it's wrong, because besides people up, we want to, but I've been struggling with figuring out a different social question to ask.
Hey,
An icebreaker. I've really been struggling, because I've been sitting with it like, what else do we ask when we meet somebody? We're at a braai. What do we ask? Hi, how are you? What's your favorite
think
color?
about it then, or what? Giving off.
It's because I also had a moment, because I find myself asking it knowing that it's problematic to ask,
Yeah.
because somebody immediately feels sized up.
I'm trying to challenge myself. Like, my one friend Tanya, I think she also was like, I need to stop asking people what they do. So she's living in New Zealand now. And it's funny how socially she's just connecting with people whose professions are so different.
Yeah.
Carpenter, janitor, physiotherapist, doctor, all at the same table, which is not something you really,
Find an essay.
I want to say, see here.
Yeah, we're very
Especially because
classist,
we're classist, right? So she'll ask things, and I'm paraphrasing, but she'll ask things like, what do you do on the weekend that brings you joy? Or like, is there a hobby that you like to do?
love
Nice.
I love
Or
that.
even if it is about work, if work comes up, does your work energize you? Do you enjoy what you do? Did you always want to do this? So yes, it's about work, but not what do you do? Oh, you're a CA. Okay, here's my number. No, it's does it energize you, or is this what you always wanted to do? Sometimes if I know what someone's doing, I'm like, what if there was no pressure or financial or whatever, what would you want to do?
Yes.
You know, just icebreaker kind of thing.
Yeah.
What would you do, Aspo, if there was no money involved?
Ooh, I don't think I'd do one thing. I would love to flip properties. I'd love to partner with someone who like flipping properties. I'd love to shoot content around that. I'd love to still come to TCC recording days and like see that creativity going on. There's so much that I would do. I would need to do many things. One thing that's like passion, something that connects with people and impacts people. Ooh, I don't know. That's such an exciting question. I actually
What did you
we
do
could
outside
chat
of money?
forever.
What would I do? I'd just be a mother, Just
Really?
mother.
Actually, during your retrenchment, you were mommying on steroids.
Yes.
She was like making crafts for her baby, like teaching her how to like hand-eye coordination with like putting
That
tubes
stuff
in,
is so beautiful to
in
watch children
holes.
learn that way.
And you
Yeah, no, I really
actually
enjoyed that time.
you're good at this
Which
thing.
is never going to leave her, right? You've taught her how to learn, how to, or been patient with her, that kind of thing. She might not remember the crafts you made, but it's the experience, the lesson,
being
and all
poured
of that
into
stuff,
as
because
a
you got to be present.
And you know what? It really like was on my soul. I'm like, especially in the first week of leaving her, because we do have our mornings and stuff, right? I was like, yo, this thing, it would be nice to not have to work, you know? I love my job and I love working, but it's really tough having to pick.
Yes,
I
So
need
it's
the
about
other.
duality.
Yes.
Two things can exist at the
Yes.
same
Once
time.
we like we want these jobs and we want the money that comes from
But
it.
we want a
but there's a
healthy
part
baby.
that's like
Who
Maybe
wants
this
to
is also
bond-
not my
bond.
calling. Maybe
Yeah.
you spoke about it off air, saying like, what am I called to? What's my purpose? What am I going to do where I'm like, ooh, that gives me, I receive, but I also see what I'm giving, or something like that, where I feel like this is my lane.
Because being in work, and you've mentioned I'm looking different, has given me a lot of happiness as well. It's lovely to wake up. It's lovely
Routine?
to
Is it nice? Okay.
Routine is nice. It's lovely to wake up. It's lovely to do something and it has an outcome and it's related to my productivity. It's really lovely. And even just looking at the future, it's really lovely, you know?
Possibilities.
Yeah.
What's
yeah,
possible
there's
now?
a duality
Possible.
to what
What's
we're talking
possible?
about. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, pros and cons. This is definitely one of those conversations where you're like, I see why I want a job now. But there are days where you're fully secured in your job. There's no retrenchment in sight, and you just wish you were a stay-at-home mom. You
Exactly.
just wish you were a stay-at-home mom.
And I must say, I got a job 6 months into the retrenchment. So I must say, I feel like one of the luckier ones.
I must be honest, you are.
So I must, recognize the fact that there are people who stay longer.
It is.
You are. You really
I
are.
think within the climate, you are lucky, because it's, and I say luck in the sense that everyone can have the qualifications, the skill set, the blah, 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 whatever. But it's like luck that gets you through, because it's not that you lack anything. You're not lacking what you need.
And all the other people who didn't get it as well. It's not like they lacked
But
something.
when you're in it, you can feel like it's a lack.
Sure.
When
Yes.
you're in it, you can feel
Absolutely.
like I'm in this because I lack something.
Absolutely.
It's, I'm
Yeah,
also
short
trying
some
to,
way.
pick my words or be selective with what I say, because I'm not speaking from a place of experience. I can speak from feeling, what is it, like lowly and downcast or something like that in a professional space. But that's one thing. I'm still going to wake up and go to my job the next day, or, it might be a season, but to go through what you've gone through, I
And I must what's this? I must say, oh yes, I sit at home, but no man, that's not what I'm trying to say. I did sit at home for a while, but the people who sit longer and have to settle for other things. I there were jobs. I was like, no, I'm not applying for that yet. I'm not desperate
I'm not there
yet.
yet.
Yes.
I'm not there yet.
There were jobs I didn't apply for because it's not in line with what I want, you know? So yeah, I must say I was quite fortunate to be in, I mean, it's quite far from home, right?
Where you work now is far from home.
I couldn't say no because of the climate. So yeah, you in this climate, you can turn down a job if you don't want it. But I was just thinking, I'm so lucky that I have a job in this climate. There's no ways I'm not gonna make it work.
Well, now I'll be so interested. Maybe towards the end, I don't know, if there's like, maybe I've got maybe 3 questions for you, but only like one answers type of thing, or short answers.
Yes.
What did you learn? What were we saying? What did you what did you learn in the moment of all this season? And what can you teach someone else who's in the same space? And not that airy fairy,
get
guys,
you.
keep positive.
I get you.
No, people are going through it.
Yeah.
What can you say as a word of like, I don't want to say encouragement, but like, guys, I feel you.
Yeah, so what did you learn was the first one.
What did you learn, and what can you maybe teach or pass on?
What did I learn? Just save, hey? Save. Like save for retrenchment, possible retrenchment, or get some cover. I know there should be something out there.
Did you get UIF?
I didn't follow through on the process, but yeah, I did qualify for UIF. Definitely save. There are safety nets, not safety nets, but your package will be your safety net. But it's not gonna be everything. You don't know how long you're gonna be unemployed. I remember when I was talking to my financial advisor, we were planning for a year of me being unemployed.
Sure.
And we decided on a set salary or an amount per month that I must live by. So I put some money in some APSA thing and it gained interest. But I couldn't put it in like a 32-day or a larger investment because every month I must withdraw.
Oh, yes.
So it wouldn't
that's
make
gonna
sense
impact.
to put it in some big...
You had quite a few resources in your time, hey?
I
Because
did.
you're speaking about family, so that's support. You spoke about therapy, which is specific support on you and how you're doing, and then your FA.
Yes.
I feel like you were still active and working. Okay, this is where I'm at. I don't want to be here, but let's make
I
it work.
like what you're saying because I was really like
Intentional.
intense.
Sure.
Like I didn't want to drop the ball at any point. So medical aid, making sure Asante moves to my mother's medical aid, covering that, But I must say, I'm also fortunate to be saying she could have moved to my mother's medical aid, So yeah, I still had my financial advisor. I still, we planned for it. I had saved up a lot of money besides the other money. I'd saved up money and I was very frugal. I didn't do a lot of shopping. I used what I had in the house. I did
within
shopping.
your means.
Yeah, I did shopping when I needed to sometimes. But I was very, 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 what is this? What's the word? Stingy. Not stingy, but frugal.
Frugal.
Extremely
Disciplined, frugal. Yeah.
But I must say, my partner as well was very helpful with the baby. I didn't have a lot of financial pressure, guys, I must say. But what I learned is that I like how you put it to say those are things I had, resources I'd had.
You utilized what you had.
Yes, I utilized what I had, and what I learned: these companies ain't loyal. These companies are not loyal, guys.
Just a number.
Unfortunately, you're just a number.
So what can you teach or what can you pass on? Because I'm already getting... what are your resources wherever you are?
Yes. I think plan for possible retirement always. Not retirement, retrenchment.
The retirement we should be planning for.
Yes. So add the retrenchment too.
Kevin's trying to get my attention and yes.
So I would say keep plan for possible retrenchment. A little money here and there. Speak to a financial advisor. I'll just maybe products out there that exist. Not your policies, but your banks have this cover for if you get retrenched. Your loans, if you have a loan, there are covers for that.
Yeah, especially during COVID, they came out quite a bit because of
So I can't remember what it was. What cover? Get those covers. Check your things.
I need this information myself. That's what I need.
You didn't speak up.
Get a financial advisor who's going to speak to you. Actually, this would be a nice partnership. But there's this platform. We're only going to put it here because we're doing advice. Dosh Guide.
Dosh Guide?
Yeah,
I thought you were
Dosh
going to say
Guide.
22/7.
Dosh Guide pays you up.
Popping out many adverts here for free, please. Everybody just...
Dosh Guide gives you... what is this? Looks at where you are, tells you, and then gives you access to a particular financial advisor for a particular amount per month. And then if you're not happy or you don't want to continue, maybe you're fine. You needed one advice or 2 months, you can stop. Okay. And they don't take any commission from you. You are paying the subscription. They don't get commission from your products. So you'll see some of the money or your interest on your products is going to a person who helped you sign up. Yeah. So that goes away if you go on Dosh Guide. So my financial advisor feels like a therapist. I always tell him every time I speak to him, I feel like I've been to therapy.
It
From
is
Dosh Guide.
emotional.
You got it from
Finances.
Dosh Guide?
Yeah, I got him from Dosh Guide.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
And
was the one that
then-
you mentioned?
Oh, I thought we weren't advertising, but you can email us at no, but 22/7. It helps you. It pulls all your accounts like across different banks. All of those things helps you see the debt you owe. Clearly, that's what I go in for. The debt you owe, how much money you have, budgeting, allocations, all of that
Nice.
stuff. Yeah, it just categorizes everything and tries to help you, at least for me, someone who needs to reflect on my spending of how much money I actually spend versus and on what, as opposed to what I think is in my
Even a
head.
few of the banking apps are doing it. I don't know what.
Yeah,
bank you're part of,
FNB's also changed their app quite a
but
bit.
Even
yeah.
Standard Bank also gives you like an estimate of how much you spend
on
and what you
particular
spend
type of
mostly
things.
on.
Yeah.
When it came out, I think they said 7% on clothing. I said, what?
Only?
Only? Lynn, I'm surprised it's that
7% on
low.
your- did it not say 70?
I'm surprised it's that low.
For me, it was still a bit too high.
It's either 17 or 70.
So
Definitely not
what I
7.
learned, be on the ball with your things. Always be ready for just plan, guys. Unfortunately, plan for retrenchment as much as you plan for retirement. And I forgot to mention this. I think this is the point I had forgotten. I felt very privileged to be able to get a job in a highly saturated field. Guys, how many people do you know in HR who study HR and don't have a job? You know? So I must mention that it's highly...
First graduate.
Yay.
It was highly saturated.
Cum laude.
So there'll be people out there. I mean, there were people who were getting offers while we are going through retrenchment. There are people who will never face it the way we did. Of course, it's still horrible, but Shem, there are people who have as soon as they found out they're getting retrenched, applied
On to the next one.
before even.
I hear what you're saying. Your engineers.
Yes.
People that are never out of a job.
Your CAs.
And
your...
I know what you're saying because you reflect actually to say maybe I'm in the wrong.
Yeah,
career
motho
and I
ba
choose the
dileng,
wrong
ma.
thing. Ba dileng. Yeah, you
if
ask
I
yourself
could go
ba
back and
dileng,
study
actually.
again,
Yeah,
I would sit with that maths textbook like you've never seen before.
I hear this.
Yeah. So plan your life. It's gonna happen. It may happen. Just it's gone. And then just hold on to ish.
Hope.
As Bo would say, no fluffy things.
Yeah.
No, but it must come from you authentically, whatever it is.
No, but the faith is important. I agree. The faith
Shem,
is
and you know
important.
what? We spoke about this on another episode, but it's just who you surround yourself with. When I didn't have enough, you guys would pour into me when I wasn't pouring into myself. No, cuz you're gonna be fine. You're gonna get a job, and I think God is gonna do a big thing.
Yeah.
Onions in your eyeballs.
And remember, you would say, I think God is going to do something really big. Yeah, but so, surround
And I
yourself with
trusted
people
that, and I still do.
Heals, you restore.
Yeah, so just have a good circle who pour into you.
We're absolutely done. Thank you. Like,
Gotta
share, and
go.
subscribe. For now, though, goodbye and God bless.